mission and the purpose of FTGI has evolved over time. And I think that's normal for an organization. It starts somewhere and then it just goes, and especially with an organization where you're trying to be sensitive to where God is taking that. And I don't know that Cinda and I even knew where it was going to go or really had a clear vision. I mean, for me, I can just speak for myself. For me, it was simply about sharing our stories with each other. Women sharing their stories, because my story was that I struggled with depression. And when I was in the middle of that depression, I was awakened to the realization that I wasn't alone in that struggle, and that there were probably a lot of people that would never have known that about me, because I still went about my business. I sang at church, and I realized that no one would have guessed that I was struggling with that. And so in the middle of that, I thought I would start going out, to the grocery store, and I'd start wondering about people, like, I wonder what she's going through, and I wonder what he's going through, and you just see people and you just start wondering, like, what's behind the masks that we wear, or not that we're intentionally trying to be deceptive, but you've got to get on with life. You've got to, keep going, and you put your brave face on and you go out. And so for me, it all started with, like, let's just start telling our stories, which is hard to do when it's depression. I didn't want people to know that about me necessarily, but I thought, what if sharing that would help someone else not feel so alone, and they would be able to, get some, find hope in the fact that there were other people that struggle, and then you share how you manage that, and you learn from each other. So for me, that was how it started. Now you look at FTGI today, and everything that we do, it has taken many different, turns, and it's got branches now. So now it's this tree,
Yes.
So I saw a meme the other day that said, you don't eat the fruit the day you plant the seed. And I thought that was great, because you plant a seed, and you kind of expect, we all want to see, like, the fruit of that the next day, and it's just been something that's grown and evolved over time.
And I like that, this knowledge about this seed, because I think that when you're doing something that is out of your own, when it's your own vision, you may know exactly what seed you're planting and the fruit that you're expecting from. But I think that when it's either a God-sized dream or just a God-inspired vision, and you plant that seed, you don't know what God's planning with that.
I
So
didn't
I think
really
that
know
will,
it was like part of an orchard, my part over here is this, but being that the nature of it was to, I'll tell you the very first vision statement we came up with, but no one could remember it except me, because I came up with it. So it was to grow a company of women, everyday women, a company of everyday women who were committed to using their God-given gifts and talents to bring hope and healing to a hurting world. Wow. I don't know why it didn't stick. This is like this mouthful. I can hardly remember. Right? But that was for me, that was my vision. Now it's grown into way more than that. My vision was not, to grow a network of women in business. It wasn't to develop a Shine program that's going to go to Brazil this year. It didn't include all of that. I had no idea what was to come. It was simply sharing my story, bringing hope and healing. And then it grew from there.
I know. I'm so excited, Drew.
Yeah,
because I get to be part of it.
Yeah.
But
well, and that's part of the evolution of it. What happened for me with FTGI too is that when it grew to be, what it was, truthfully, it outgrew where my sweet spot was for me. The organization outgrew me being able to maintain in that sweet spot. I started having to do all of the things that you do and do way better than I did. Which it's amazing, because you coming in has allowed me now to step back and go, okay, what was my my original vision and purpose? And I want to talk about that word too, about purpose, because I feel like there's a lot of misconception around it, or maybe baggage that comes with that word now. It didn't have that 11 years ago. It was kind of when we started talking about awakening purpose, it was more of a fresh word. Now it's pretty used a lot, and I think, I know, because I sat on a conversation the other day between some friends of mine that were saying, I'm just kind of over everybody, like, find your purpose, and I understand that because I feel like that comes with a lot of pressure.
Yes.
Like your purpose is out there and it's hidden somewhere and you have to go search for it, you know?
Yes.
Whereas your purpose has been knitted inside of you since before you were born, you know, and it's not a matter of having to go find it with, you know, and excavate it. It's just a matter of just tuning into it. Who are you? Who are you?
And I think that's I love about, you know, what you're saying, and even thinking about it. Last year, our the theme that God gave us was "There's more."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what it looked like. I mean, did you think a year ago that
gosh.
we will be merging and becoming double in networking, and that we would be going internationally with the Shine program, that we'll be expanding?
Truthfully,
I mean,
that, you know, and I use this word. I just remember using it in another video that we used, that whisper. But that's what it was. It was like a little whisper, like there's more, you know, and then you just kind of like, okay, well, what is that? You know, what does that look like?
yes.
And you can try to manufacture things, but that doesn't work.
It doesn't
You know,
work.
That doesn't work.
And
Yeah.
then I just love how now God has given us just breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel that a lot of times, in order for us to find this purpose that is not super hidden somewhere, we just need to just breathe and connect ourselves with God.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're talking about purpose, to me, since I began studying and I did psychology and then I did coaching, I became part of this community to a certain extent that bringing healing and empowerment and inspiration to the world. It meant doing from a stage, or writing a book, or coaching people even. And you know that I'm going through a transition that I do not feel like coaching people anymore. What I found that is in this season of my life, my purpose is being fulfilled behind the scenes, most of it. That's where I find my fulfillment, and I don't think that is God saying that's gonna be like this forever, but the fact that when I am working behind the scenes with FTGI, doing all of the busy work that nobody likes to do, I thrive and I love it.
Yeah.
I truly love it. So it's very nice to see, and before you're talking about assignments and how God will give you different assignments within the purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that sometimes, you know, there are people that their real passion and purpose is very much wrapped up in one thing that they stick with for their life, like a Mother Teresa, or you know, or someone who starts an organization, say, to bring clean water. It's a very specific thing. That's a passion that they have. And they do it in that very specific way. And I think that's where we've been kind of programmed to think of purpose, having a purposeful life. I think it's more about living on purpose than finding your purpose. Because if you're living on purpose, you're going to find that purpose in just your daily living and the different assignments. Like when I was, you know, in my early 20s, my assignment at the time was my children. You know, it was raising my children. Didn't mean that I didn't have any other gifts to offer the world, you know, but my assignment was I was home and I was raising my kids.
Yes, and it is so beautiful. In general, I think that we need to step away from that position of trying to always be finding something outside of ourselves. That God can make us feel purposeful in this season that we are right now. You know, I've learned with a mentor of mine who is just 70, now she must be 81. But when we spoke about this, she was 79 years old. And I was in a season of my life that I was so conflicted because I had just done an international trip and I had spoken to this amazing audience of like over 600 people. And I was so, I don't know, when you're in that place and you're like, oh my God, I belong here. That's what I have been studying and developing myself professionally. I want this. But my kids were so little. And I got so conflicted with traveling and leaving them. And I came to her and I said, I don't know what to do. I'm so conflicted. And she told me, well, when would this opportunity be a good opportunity in your life where you would not feel conflicted? And without thinking, I told her 15 years from now. 15.
Yeah.
And she said, why 15? And I said, well, because my kids will be, out of school and either going to college or being, adults. And at that time, I would feel that would be amazing. And she said, then you have your answer. is 15 years from now.
And I can tell you that 15 years goes by like that. In a blink of an eye, you have grandchildren, and you how did I get here?
And you're like, you know?
Yeah.
And there is so much to be lived, but I think that we live on this immediate world where it's all about fast reward and us looking for that, you know, compensation that's gonna that's gonna come right away. Or there's so much pressure about what women should accomplish, or where women should be, or what a successful woman looks like. And I think that when we allow ourselves to be pretty much in harmony with God's purpose for our lives, He will show us different assignments within that purpose in different seasons. And sometimes it's going to be present with our children. Sometimes it's going to be to run something that's bigger than ourselves. Sometimes it's going to be to bring healing or a word of encouragement to a friend, through a phone call.
Yeah, when I think about, like, for me, I feel like if I could encapsulate in one word, you know, what I feel like my purpose, what sort of gets me up in the morning, is just, I would phrase it like delivering hope, you know, because having been through, just, you know, some rough stuff and losing people that I love and depression and some anxiety and those kinds of things, I just feel like when I see someone that is feeling hopeless or feeling stuck or feeling like they're alone or they're the only one, I just want to just encourage and give that hope that there's a brighter day coming around the bend. And when I was thinking about it today, about like, is that just a result of like tragedy in my life that I've, you know, come upon hope as being this word that, you know, I feel like is a driver for me. And I realized that I've always been hopeful. Hope has always been who I was from when I was really little. It just manifests itself in different ways. You know, so when I was little, hope just looked like optimism and curiosity and adventure. I was always reading books and just, you know, like just hopeful about like the next thing, kind of dreaming, you know. And then when life comes and you hit those bumps, then hope is your anchor and it's what you hold on to. That's going to get you through. So I don't think, you know, I don't think who we are changes that much. What we do and we grow, hopefully we're growing all the time. But there is an inner self of who we are that I think we were really built with. And that's, I feel like what the heartbeat of For the Girls is about, awakening that. Not awakening this mission that you have to go and save the world with, but awakening how were you wired to just be a light and to be, you know, because we were all built to work in community with each other and to help and bring light and hope and healing to each other.